there's a lot of people, there's a lot of folks that do want, to be able, that we're not able to attend. And I think it's not my favorite thing to watch myself. I probably will never watch myself. But I think it's important. So I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourselves via what I can see, and just your name, your chorus, and what role you play within the chorus. I'm Evelyn Langenstein, Spirit of Syracuse RMT membership coordinator. Been with one chorus for, it is now 35 years. I do not know how this has happened. I'm only 25. I know people say that, but in my brain, but maybe that's a good thing because that's the way I act sometimes. I want to say a special shout out to Alexis, who has, when you see the graphics, she took my likes and the colors and things that resonated with me and put together the background of the slides, and that has been huge and is always there for me when I need help. Cheryl. Oh,
unmute.
Yes.
There we go. Hi, I'm Cheryl Springer, and I'm from Saratoga Soundtrack Chorus, and I am the membership coordinator for my chorus.
Diane. Deb, I think you can just unmute people at this point.
They have to do it themselves.
Okay.
Diane Bushell, Golden Apple Chorus, and I'm the membership co-chairman.
Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Cruz from Golden Apple Chorus, and I'm joining late, but my daughter is the co-membership chairman of Golden Apple Chorus, and I decided, since I found this information last night, to come on and see what's going on. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Welcome. Melissa.
Hi, I'm from Heart of Long Island Chorus. I'm a member and I am the current interim director, newly interim director of our chorus.
Good for you.
Okay, camera. we don't have your name.
Oh, if you mean Cam.
Oh,
my name.
Sorry, but we
That's
always
okay.
do that, don't we? Cam.
Those are actually my initials, but I do go by that too. My name's Carol Meany.
Okay.
And hello from the Jersey Shore. I am with Liberty Oak Chorus, and I am the membership coordinator
For
Liberty Oak.
Okay. Alice.
Hi, I'm Alice Temple. I'm from Jersey Harmony Chorus, and I'm sitting in for our membership coordinator. I'm the management team coordinator.
Welcome. Terry.
You're still muted.
She's trying.
Okay.
Let me go to somebody else and then I'll come back to you. Marianne?
Yeah, I'm Marianne Friedlander, and I'm from Island Hills Chorus, and I am the team leader, and I'm temporarily filling in for our right now vacant membership chair.
Jen.
I am Jen Wiseman from Liberty Oak Chorus. I'm the secretary of our board, and I'm on the membership committee.
Terry, you're still not? Okay. Laura?
I'm Laura Paglione from Sirens of Gotham in New York City, and I'm the president and acting treasurer of the chorus, sitting in for our fabulous membership team.
Who's Carol? Who? Just says iPhone 2023. Miss Carol Schulteis. Who disappeared.
I'll go. Oh, there she goes.
I'm on my iPhone because my iPad's in the hospital and I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Okay, well,
I'm Carol Schulteis from Evergreen Chorus. I am a dual member with Harmony Celebration, but I am the membership chair of Evergreen.
and Terry, you're just, okay, welcome.
I'll introduce myself.
Wait, let me,
Oh.
Terry, you are with Heart of Long Island, yes? Okay.
Okay.
Well, and hey, Melissa, what's her position? She's doing her,
Well, she's one of the heads of our tech committees and she's a member.
okay,
And I don't know if anything else. I'm very happy she's here though. If she's doing membership, perfect. So
welcome, Terry. Deb, sorry.
That's okay. Deb Saki, Spirit of Syracuse membership. I'm also the regional communications coordinator. So you'll see my name on lots of emails.
Okay, Alexis, I know you're not staying on, but if anybody doesn't know you, they should.
Hi, I'm Alexis DePershionarelli. I sing with Sirens of Gotham. I am the regional marketing coordinator, and I think that's the stuff I was supposed to say.
Thanks for your help.
Okay, we can start the slide. Mary Demick. Welcome.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Sorry, I'm late.
10 demerits. Mary Demick is from Greater Nassau Chorus. Membership chair, yes? Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Alexis, you can. And if I need you, I just scream out, Alexis. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, this iPad technology to do some of these things. Alexis, how do I can't get any people on there?
I'm not quite sure how to help you guys.
Alexa, stop.
So
Oh,
I think if you do, it's one of those things where like you have to, do you see my face popping up right now?
no,
You see no faces popping up right now?
no faces.
Let me do this. Do you see your face now?
No.
What?
I think you
might have to
probably
talk
need
into
to
the board.
change to speaker view. I mean to gallery view. Yeah, speaker view, because then you can see usually multiple people. And if you see only one person, there's a plus sign above that one person.
Say that again, Laura. Where should I go? Speaker view?
You should be in speaker view.
Okay, all I see is the slide. Yes.
Do you see yourself or
No.
one person who's talking
No.
in speaker view?
Nope.
So if you're in speaker view and you don't see anyone, in the bottom right corner, do you see a little blue camera?
Yep.
Touch that. And
There
then you see one person.
Yep.
Press the plus sign on the left side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yay.
God bless Laura Paglione.
See, aren't these graphics gorgeous? And okay, next slide. So go ahead. So this is obviously membership meet number 4, and the focus today is going to be on that all-important first year. And I think we have spent a lot of time talking about retention. And the reality is, if that first year is positive, if their experiences are positive, the likelihood of our members staying is going to increase dramatically. And what we're going to talk about today is some of the tools to increase the likelihood that that experience is positive by giving you some Sweet Adelines International tools, but just as important, sharing with each other tools that our individual choruses are utilizing that, are helpful to us making that first year positive. Next slide. One of the things over our last membership meets, we've talked a lot about and spent time on discussing the importance of the chorus vision, the mission, the importance of knowing who we as a chorus are, and where we are, where we want to go. And it's really important that first year to nurture our new members by teaching them what our chorus is about. So we can't teach them what we're about until we know what we're about. And providing with them opportunities to participate. Now, again, we've talked about this in the past, and I know our chorus has ongoing conversations. When you say providing them opportunities to participate, there's that fine line between overloading a new member and getting them to feel as if they're part of the chorus and that they and get them to participate. So that is something you and your leadership is going to have to decide. I know for us, sometimes, you see someone new come in, there's potential, and there's the danger of overloading them. But as we've said before, everybody has their gifts. Find a small job, find something to make individuals feel as if they belong. So basically what we're going to talk about today is the concept of a membership handbook, new member orientation, the whole onboarding process, what that looks like, again, what Sweet Adelines is recommending, what are some of their ideas, as well as tapping you all for what is working and not working, and what your concerns are as individual chorus leaders. Potential membership programs through the first year, mentor programs, riser buddies, and then really what I want to talk about at the end is our next meet is going to be what I would like to do. The focus is going to be membership coordinators as well as rookies. It is going to be about the convention experience, and there's some really fun things and exciting things to talk about there. Next slide. So if you go to the retention playbook under Sweet Adelines International and membership, there is a whole outline about the membership handbook and what it potentially should contain. So the idea of this is to provide this to new members as a reference. And I stress as a reference. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to read it from cover to cover, but it's not meant for, it's meant for them to have through their first year as a reference when they have questions, to be able to have something to go to. And the idea is, some people want a lot of information, some people want just a little bit of information. So this kind of gives them everything. And the idea is to make members feel more comfortable and confident about being part of your chorus. And the idea is to make them feel more likely to feel empowered versus confused. Again, you will get to know your members. For some people, that it may be information overload, but I think just as everything we have with Sweet Adelines International that's on the website, chapter guidelines, policy books, we know they're there. Do we know all the specifics? No, but if we have a question, it's there. So saying a lot to, and this is the outline of what Sweet Adeline says potentially should be or would be helpful for new members. So people in our chapter, you know, our course structure, the roster, how do we communicate with each other? How do we communicate if there's urgent message that needs to go out, if there's a cancellation, direct your information. So just an overview of who the people in our chapter are. Another thing that might be useful, and they call it the nuts and bolts, is the financial information, the bylaws, the standing rules, the policies. I would add here that your mission, your vision need to be included here. Job descriptions, protocols, code of conduct, terminology. I know if you ask the average chorus member who their management team is and what their roles are, people do not know. Sometimes I wonder, you know, we stand up there and I stand up there as chorus events. Are people wondering what the heck is she doing up there? Who is she and what, you know, why is she up there? So I think I know our course needs to be better at this, but again, job descriptions, a little blurb, who does what? I know I have seen the website Sirens does a particularly good job at, when you go to their members, exactly what each individual's role is, their title and their role. Terminology. Speak a different language, you know, the barbershop community. And sometimes we need to have kind of a dictionary, a glossary of what our terminology is and what it means, because we stand up there and talk in front of the chorus. The new members are standing there and they have no clue sometimes what we're talking about. So I think that should be a part of what they get, you know, whenever you decide to give it to them. And we'll talk about that in a second. Next slide, please. So other points, other areas of inclusion in this handbook, performance readiness. You know, our courses are unique as opposed to certain, you know, choral groups. I think we need to share with people, you know, what our current sheet music is. How do we learn music? What are the expectations? That there is a visual communication aspect of our craft. And so learning to perform, costuming, makeup, again, a little blurb. And I will tell you, this is one of those things. Deb, you can unmute yourself, because we had a little back and forth discussion when I shared the slides with her, and the concept of performance readiness and learning to perform can kind of sound pretty vague, but I think so. Go ahead, Deb.
Yeah. A lot of people just think, well, you know, as long as you know the notes and words, you can perform with us. But as we know with Sweet Adelines, you know, your energy on the risers, your communication to the audience and all that stuff is part of who we are. And that's an aspect that it should be paid attention to, and it isn't necessarily. So that was just my only point, is to, we need to encourage our new members to step up to the challenge of being a performing member on the risers with everything, their voice, their body, their face.
Now, she doesn't, the more I thought about this, I think there's a danger of if someone comes in simply saying there's a visual aspect of our craft and visually communicating the song is important, but I think we can overwhelm them if we start talking about understanding how to use their face, the body language, the choreography, and all those things that we know are necessary to be successful in a performance.
Yeah. And those items I listed were more for our own leadership considerations to make sure that the member is ready to perform and feel successful performing. Not necessarily go into all the detail here.
Right, or have that as part of the new member handbook.
Mm.
So I think it's up to each individual chorus to define what visual communication readiness is. The visual aspect of our craft and performance readiness is a huge part, but I think just mentioning it in detail is left up to the visual communication team, in our case, directors. I mean, any comments from you all?
Even making sure that you are just explaining that we are both singers and storytellers, I think goes a long way, right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
we are not typically choruses that stand there with folios in front of us. So at the very least, just, talking about being singers and storytellers, I think does that, because every chorus takes on a storytelling characteristic in a different way. Some do it through dance, some do it through character, right? And it doesn't have to be limited by any one thing. So I think just putting it in those terms, I think, can be helpful.
Perfect. I like that. And because I wrote down that there is a visual aspect. And like you said, it could be costuming, it could be makeup, it could be, all the things you mentioned. But it needs to be at least brought up or referenced in the handbook. Membership. So in performance readiness, talk about what types of performance does the chorus have? Chapter shows, regional, international conventions, having those listed so people have an idea of what is upcoming. Also, if you do put together a membership handbook, having plain old membership information, membership attendance requirements, so that they're not surprised. Leave requests. Now, I guess at the bottom here, it's anything else you want to add? My questions would be, do you put together a membership handbook? If not, do you think it's important? What else should we include in it?
Spirit of Syracuse doesn't have a membership handbook, but a lot of these pieces are covered elsewhere. Like the contact list and who's on the management team is part of the guest folder that they get the very first visit. So, but that's just a little piece compared to everything else. And I'm wanting to put together a membership handbook.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Jersey Harmony has a membership handbook. It includes those things and also some history of the organization. And the problem is getting people to read it. I mean, it's probably needs to be revised to be made a little shorter. But even the things that you listed make a pretty long document, even assuming you're going to reference the standing rules by inserting a link. Um, it's I almost miss the old days when everything was in hard copy because we used to have a handbook that you could hand to people and say, here, go home and read this. Now we're saying, here's the link, go home and read this. And they're already so, I mean, not necessarily overwhelmed, but they're in the practical aspects of living this new experience, and they don't necessarily feel they have the time to sit down and start reading handbooks. So
Right, and it won't be relevant until they're at a point where they have that question, or if it's a
right.
question about regional, until they're preparing. So do you think, so it's, yours is all online, do you think it would be helpful if there was a hard copy, but the links were provided in the hard copy for the things like policies, bylaws, so on? That might be a suggestion, because just having something there, because when they have the questions, they're gonna go, okay, so, because I know I do it, where is that link? Where is that information? So having part of it having part of it in a hard copy handbook with the links.
But the links are, you mean typing out the URL
Yes,
so they can type it into their browsers. That's an idea. That's something to
Anyone else?
consider.
I think considering who your membership is when you're coming in is also a part of it, going back to like your chorus culture and branding, right? And considering, do you have the kind of members who are hard copy members, right? And if so, then making sure that you have a one sheet that has links to things might make sense. And I would suggest QR codes over URLs because they're going to get longer and harder. Whereas if you
Good
could do
idea.
those QR codes, and there's lots of free QR code generators, so that people can just scan things and get to them when they need to. But again, or you're like Sirens and you're like, our people are digital people, right? And so our stuff is set up that way. But do what's right for your chorus, right? Like, don't just be like, everyone said we should be digital, so we're going to be digital now. If your chorus isn't there, you don't have to be, but figure out what makes sense for you.
I would also suggest that when you assign a mentor for your new member, that they take time to talk about the handbook and see if there's any questions, one-on-one with the new member.
Carol?
Liberty Oak, we give them a packet when they come in their first night with a lot of good information, but we try not to overwhelm them there. And then once they've passed their auditions and they're coming into the course, they'll get their standing rules and their bylaws. And we will also, at that point, when they're actually voted in, give them a list of important information, important people, important numbers. So everything is included in there with who are the people on the music team, and email addresses or phone numbers for the officers and all that kind of information. And we do have one specified rookie mentor that deals with everybody that's coming in new, and she stays with them for a year. So, they, at that point, all their questions would go to the rookie mentor.
Carol, do you give them this, because we'll talk about this later, when do you give them this handbook?
Well, it's not per se, it's not a handbook. It's,
Right.
But our website is where they're going to get most of their information. We have a documents area that is, I'm overwhelmed by our own website. There's so much information on there, not overwhelmed in a bad way, in a good way. So they eventually learn that they can go to the website and probably find out what they need. But for those people that aren't learners like that, they have their rookie mentor that can tell them what they need to know.
As far as the website's concerned, are you using Choir Genius?
Yes.
Because that document section can be organized however you want. And if there's a new member section with all the links that they might need to know, that would be a good way to do that.
I'm not sure that that's how we have it done, but that is a good
That's,
point.
that's on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
I don't think that's Choir Genius, but.
We've got
that's
Groupanizer.
The
Groupanizer.
Groupanizer. Yes.
Groupanizer owns Choir Genius.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and there's perfect examples there of how it works differently for different choruses. You know, you need to know your members.
Mhm.
I'm still a firm believer, but I'm old. I like having that document to be able to reference, even if it has the QR code, if it has the links, because it's all in one place. Because like you said, Carol, our document section can be a little overwhelming, and people are not going to go there unless
Unless it's easy.
But it's certainly, I think providing this information is critical. Anybody else, other choruses, what?
And they do get paper, the original documents that they get at the beginning of their first night, and also when they join, when they actually are voted in. Those things are paper. It's just that
Okay.
after that, it's not paper, and it's not a handbook per se. It's done in pieces, in
What
chunks.
is great? Well, and that might, one of the recommendations that Sweet Adeline's making that we'll talk a little bit about is having these new member nights or new member classes. And that might be the place, you know, to give out those things, to talk about those things. I don't know, you know, we'll talk about that in a second. I don't know if people are still doing it.
Evelyn,
Evelyn,
Sorry, I can't see the.
um,
sorry, Carol
Well-
Schulteis here.
Hmm.
We do give out a folder to our new members that has a lot of the information you were talking about. Something that you didn't mention that we do is we have a road to contest document that kind of goes through and explains how we prepare for contest, what the finances are for contest, including room, parking, food, pictures, the boutique and the banquet. And we found that that was a little bit helpful as well.
I may ask you to send me a copy of that for our next membership meet, which is really good focus on the newbie experience, the rookie
Mhm.
experience, heading to at convention, what convention is all about. Anybody else do anything similar to that?
Yes. I wanted to comment. I don't believe Greater Nassau has like a booklet, like this book that you're describing, but we have all the documentation that is sort of what I'm hearing other courses do, where we release it as the need arises. We do not want to overwhelm anyone coming in. But one thing we have found very helpful, probably brought about by the COVID experience, was the Zoom. We have used that for the new members when it came to like this road to competition, where we asked them to join membership, and anyone who might be useful for that, like a costume person, to come on and have like an Q&A, but we give like a small presentation of what's expected, you know, like a month or so leading into it, maybe even a little longer, just to give them that opportunity to just feel what's ahead. It's not just a and I think that's been very, very helpful. We also have prepared something that's you know, I was very much involved in this, the road to regional, the road to international, like having different flavors to that. So we prepared documentation for that. So that's but it's digital as well. And I was very curious hearing
Sirens of Gotham has done it all digital. We tried to move a lot of our stuff to digital, but we still can provide hard copy if anyone so desired. We sometimes do have that need. I am very curious about Alexis, as to how you have set that up. Would love to know more about that, since I'm kind of an integral part of doing some of that in our chorus. So I don't know
One
if
of
you
the
hear
Laura,
that.
you wanna say stuff?
Or,
Say siren stuff?
Yeah.
Do it, Laura. Go.
Cool. Yeah. We're not all digital. So we have a combination of digital and I will call digital and, physical, but the physical is a PDF that's emailed to people. So they have a choice to print it out, but closer to a physical document. It just strikes me, as I hear everybody talking, I'm like, maybe we should add all of these things because we don't have many of the things that were discussed here. Our process is pretty different. When we have new guests, we give them a document that includes things like who we are and what we stand for and our values and things like that. It talks about barbershop. It talks about the time commitment expectations of being in our chorus and the financials. It has a little bit about upcoming dates and audition process. And then when folks join, we have an orientation packet that includes things like who you reach out to when you have questions, or like basically the structure of support that they have, including their mentor information. We repeat information about expectations and financials, dues. We have an extensive section on communication channels. So we use Slack. Actually, people who don't use Slack are going to suffer in our chorus because we use Slack significantly in our communication methods, which is a more, I'll call it a real-time communication method, which can be super chatty, and it can be overwhelming for members. So we kind of slowly introduce them to the channels and make a lot of the channels optional. The important stuff goes to one channel, so they could subscribe to just one channel. And the very important stuff goes out in an email that we send out once a week, called the Siren Song, which includes expectations for upcoming things, but it also gives sort of a highlight of what's coming up, key dates and things like that, as well as other opportunities. Things like our overall leadership structure and sort of the more organizational things are a little more hidden away. We do share them, and they're in a place within a drive that we fully describe in that orientation document. But we found that chorus members don't care, sort of like what Evelyn was saying, like they don't care until it's a problem and then they want to know. So it's available to folks, and then occasionally they will have to weigh in and vote on things like the standing rules. So then it comes back to the front, but then it fades away. So like our budgets there are all sorts of things related to the management of the chorus are there. We handle performance really differently. So we, before a performance, several months actually before a performance, we set up these things called showtime sheets, which include literally every expectation from, where you will be every moment while you're away, how to prepare for the contest, where you need to sign things up, all the key dates, what you will be wearing, how you'll be behaving at the competition, the expectations there. It's a pretty extensive document. And when we go to an international contest, it's like, it's probably 30 pages long. I don't know. It's
and
really,
what's
really
that
long.
called, Laura?
We call it a showtime sheet.
Because
which
I
is
learned
funny
about
'cause it's-
showtime sheets from Harmony Celebration, and then when I started Sirens, I was like, "This is
Yeah.
the bomb. We're using it."
Yeah,
And it's evolved from there. It's totally its own beast.
It's so extensive. I can't even tell you. It's funny to call it a sheet because it's like a 30-page document. But it has literally everything you need in it. And then during competitions, we also set up a separate Slack channel specifically for communications of being there. And then the last thing we have is style guides, which are extensive documents, which include information about our costume, but also just information. There's general information on like how to style yourself. We don't have a makeup requirement anymore. So there's information about makeup if you choose to wear it.
It's
You know, just
separated out
resources.
as kind of like clothing and grooming, right? So
Clothing and grooming, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and we are navigating closer to some standard looks, and then occasionally we have a special look for a particular performance. So we have like a bunch of communication things, but we don't tend to put them all out at once. Just we kind of dribble them out as we think folks will be paying attention to them.
We have done historically, and it's come and gone over the years. Sometimes I'll put together like a one sheet before regional that has like these are the current champions, and I'll put a picture of the quartet and the chorus, both internationally and regionally, and I'll put like all the names just so people have a reference, right? And I'll put little things about like when you go to contests, like if you see someone with something on a ribbon, that means they're the current whatever, and if you see something on a chain, that means it's something that they've worn previously. Just those like silly little sweet Ada things that we all take for granted, having been in the culture for a while, that other people might not know. So like there's documents like that we've done, and then also a lot of times, you know, like that kind of glossary of oh, what's tagging, what's afterglow mean, what's, you know, so all of those things I think show up in different places. And the big thing for us is that digitally we use Google Drive to organize ourselves.
So what I'm hearing, that may not necessarily be a part of this initial communication to new members. That might be the orientation document. And for some of us, a new member, you know, sheet or document that talks about who we are, what we are, but specifics about makeup, costuming, performance is going to be handled separately. I mean, or at different times in different documents. Or
ours goes more towards connecting towards individual performances than like a when you join. This is
right, because that would be overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will tell you, for the first time, I know we just put together 4 or 5 costume looks. So to kind of make it okay, to tell the chorus, okay, this performance is look number 2. This performance is look number 1. So which kind of makes life a lot easier than each time having that whole discussion. And the same thing we've done with makeup. But that's us, and it makes life a lot easier knowing, you know, you don't have to have that discussion every time that it's look number 1, look number 2. There's still going to be questions, but again, would you give that to someone in the beginning? No, you know, in the beginning, they need to know that visual, you know, visual is the visual aspect of our craft is important, you know, and that's different, as you said, from other forms of singing.
We don't really talk about that, actually. I mean, Alexis, maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like we talk about visual performance except as during rehearsals. Every single rehearsal, we talk about storytelling and the importance of storytelling and the authenticity of a performance. Like that's just part of our rehearsal plan, every rehearsal. But we don't really talk about performance ever. Like, I think we talk about it sort of just in the context of we're being ourselves and this is how we're expressing this.
Well, and that certainly makes sense. I mean, but maybe just discussing it initially that we're different than other choral groups, that there is this visual aspect. I mean, but going into it is about connecting with the audience. It's about telling the story of the song, and whether you do that, how you do that, there's many different ways of doing that. But for some people who are just coming in from, you know, high school chorus groups, I mean, we know we've all watched choruses where we sit there as an audience member and go, oh my God, how can they sing that?
Their voice is on a stick.
You know, but that's Good point, though. I mean, it's moving toward, the movement now is to an authentic performance, is to emotionally connect with the audience, and it's about the audience and not ourselves.
Well, and I think so much about too knowing when you're going to have new members in is just really making sure that whatever your rehearsal is, you're showing them who you are so they know what they're signing up for. But Ev, when you're talking about for today, you're talking about new members like the ones who have passed their auditions, right?
Yes.
So we want to be really in that like not guests, but like like really new members mindset.
Yeah, this is not 6 months down the road. Well, it is that first, it's new.
It is the 6 months road.
Yes, it's the rookie orientation, and it's the importance of what is conveyed to them in that first year.
Yeah.
And that they need some of this information, but there is that fine line between overwhelming them with information and knowing your chorus and knowing how they process information. Is important, because it's going to be different it's going to be different for different choruses, and there's no one way of doing it. There's suggestions. The next slide, one of the things they talk about, Sweet Adelines talks about, is having this series of 6 to 8 classes that cover some of these topics actually that we've been talking about. They talk about that it should be short, 10 to 15 minutes before or after rehearsal. I like Mary's idea of doing some of this via Zoom. I think that I know we had problems. People were not coming. Deb, is that true? People were not, oh, I like that. I saw all the people on the side, Alexis. That was great. Sorry.
Yes, this is Debbie. We had trouble having people show up before rehearsal for their new member orientation, so it kind of fell by the wayside because it wasn't efficient or effective. For the people who showed up, it was, but
so I'll just give you a little overview of what some of the titles of their classes, and it's really stuff we've talked about. The first class, I think it's really important to have the new members introduce themselves to each other. There's a bonding that forms, if they're the class of 2025, it's just this natural bonding and natural formation of, it's group dynamics. It's telling them what to expect. This is a time you could provide some of this new member information, go over the expectations. This might be a time where you could assign riser buddies. Whether you do, we'll talk about that in the next section. The second class, their recommendation is to introduce the director, the section leaders, and other musical leadership, and discuss how does your chorus learn music. Again, we're different. How does your chorus learn music? What are the procedures and what are the expectations? Introducing living and working together. Is introducing the leadership team. Sweet Adelines as a foreign language. Again, yeah, because it is a foreign language. The introduction of overview of the international organization and how your chorus functions as part of that and part of the region. And discuss organization and barbershop terminology. Class 5, is that on the next slide? I don't know. Yep. Class 5, I don't really like, this was their title. I don't really like this. But anyway, it's really introducing and discussing costuming and makeup. Class 6 is the context experience. So we've talked about that, how each course is doing different things, about discussing the regional contest and how the individual courses prepare for it, as well as how the day actually works. And then there's graduation, different courses, and I'd like to, about this process of whether you do any of these types of classes. We've kind of talked about a lot of this information is contained in various different, meetings that you have or documents, but do you have it in a formal classing onboarding program? And what does your graduation, your passing the audition look like for different courses? I think just having a process can help members feel more accepted, more comfortable, and connected. But any questions, comments from the group, and how your course does? Do you have formal classes? Do you think it would work? It seems like Greater Nassau does have some of these classes, but they're on Zoom, which I think makes a lot of sense. Anyone else?
Can you hear me?
I can, we can.
Okay. Apparently my phone thinks I'm driving and it won't let me talk unless I put it on this other screen. I just wanted to say from the perspective of somebody that was in the course 30 years ago for a number of years and now, so I was very excited when I was thinking about rejoining how technology was going to have changed it, or how it was going to, like, what did it do to it? And I'm finding it detrimental to at least the messaging portion of it. Email seems to work fine, but it makes it this time around so overwhelming, because it's all day long. It was like ping, 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 and asking, people asking for things related to technology. And I just think that maybe that's something people aren't thinking about, of how technology is actually harming the group. I know our numbers are, the Sweet Adeline in general, the numbers are going down, and it could be because they just feel so overwhelmed by it and so stressed by it. So I wanted to put that out there.
That's totally fair. My marketing coordinating brain is going off and going on fire. Like,
yeah,
as a general rule, like, you want to try and make it, and again, this is a course culture thing, and sometimes there's an adjustment and there's things like that, but like, you want the chorus to be sending out like one email a week, and you want there to be select leaders who can send out other things maybe if they need to. You want to teach your chorus that reply all is not a thing that should be used. But again, different choruses, different memberships, coming to different levels of technology understanding, also having patience. Going back to an HCC thing, I think when we had first gotten on Groupizer, people were doing that thing where they were like, it automatically, when you replies to the whole group or something like that. And so Gina and Diane were like, reply to sender, leave us alone. Like, they did a whole thing, right? So sometimes that just means actually talking about it, right? Like saying, like, we as a chorus, like, want to be respectful of each other's time and communication spaces, and so this is how we would like to approach it. And then people go, oh, okay. And then, you know what I mean? Otherwise it's just like, what about this? What about that? And then it becomes that whole thing.
So who were they responding to?
Like everyone. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, I mean, like, someone would send something out and it was like a normal, like, leadership thing, and someone would just be like, got it. Like, someone just respect, they wanted to like let the person know they got it or whatever. And because of the way it was set up, they didn't even realize that they were emailing everyone. Like, it was a whole thing. So
this via email, not text.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that, if I can address that, thank you, Alexa.
Oh, you're there.
Go, Kathy, go.
I know, I'm sorry I was late.
And I see your hand, Laura.
What Alexa Alexis just said is so true. A lot of that happened when the email came through the Groupinizer members only. And you can't isolate who you want to respond to. So that's why a lot of that was happening. They don't know that it's coming from the Groupinizer site. So you send out an email to the membership and you want to address one person, you can't do it that way. So we're learning that. People are now learning that
Yeah, they have to go in and change the settings and the replies and things like that.
Exactly. So thank you. That's
Oh, definitely. Laura's had her hand up for a minute, so go, Laura, go.
Yeah, it's about a slightly different topic. Evelyn, you mentioned something about graduation. So Sirens doesn't do formal classes or anything like that. But to me, graduation is a part of ceremony of joining an organization. I think ceremonies are really important for people feeling included. And Sirens doesn't do a graduation, but we do a couple of things that are specific to new members joining. Their first official rehearsal as a siren, we do make a big deal of it. So the person is there. I'm sure many courses do this. We announce that there's an official welcoming. We take a moment to congratulate the person. And often people, they get a binder of music. We actually hand them a binder of music, which is hilarious because most people do not use those binders anymore in our chorus. But then the other thing we do is their first competition as a siren. We also have a tradition that everybody in the chorus participates in. We have pins with the Sirens logo on them, and people wear them inside their clothes, hidden, not on the front of their costumes or their outfits. And we make a big ceremony of the people who are new to the chorus, and this is their first competition, that they officially receive those pins, and then they, and they're part of that tradition that everybody participates in.
Spirit of Syracuse does the same thing.
Mhm.
And we just had retreat, and the membership team put together like a little bag of
Survival kit.
a survival kit. I'm not exactly sure what was in it, but throughout the year they're recognized. And yes, at regional convention, there is a pin or there's something special that they're given to, just like you said, but there is there is a recognition that this is their first contest. Anyone? Yes. Just to go back to the communications thing, I know in our chorus in Spirit of Syracuse, the only people that can send out a communication to the entire chorus, that group is limited. So it has to go through the team leader and the communications person. The communications individual is the one that can send it out. Some of the other things might be on our private Facebook group, but as far as communication to the chorus, that is coming from one individual. And just like you did say, that person is responsible for kind of collecting and determining what is going out in that weekly email. So sometimes it may wait a little bit because they want to put a couple of different things together, so that it's not 5 or 6 emails going out a week.
And it could be, again, thinking about, because again, a lot of choruses use like a Groupinizer or a Harmony site or different things like that have this email component to them. If your chorus isn't using that, if you're just using, you have a list and you use that, another way to do that is to use like the BCC, the blind carbon copy function, so that they can only reply to the person who sent it. And then that way that also will eliminate that kind of accidental group chatter that can happen when people are excited and just trying to be like, hey, I got this, or hey, I have a question. You know what I mean? Because no one ever does it. It's never an ill will, right? Like it's never ill will. But like also, how do we keep down annoyances and also keep things more focused so the important information is getting through?
Yeah, ours we do that. The BC, each individual member is BCC'd. And so if they're replying back, it's to something that's not really monitored. So they're, and they're told that, do not reply back to this email, reply to this individual.
And just in
And
general, if you're looking at different forms of like chorus communication things and you're like, we're doing this, is there a better option? Or what about this? And you're having stuff like issues and you want to talk to someone about it, please feel free to email me. I'm always happy to talk through solutions or tweaking things or finding what could work best for you and your chorus. So just let me know.
I was just going to mention, Spirit of Syracuse doesn't use Groupanizer for emails, probably for the reason that was brought up. We have a Gmail account that we take care of those things with.
I don't know if this is adding to or just reaffirming what I'm hearing, but we do that same weekly and we call it Noteworthy. And at the top of the as it's coming out, there's always the links to the things that are very important, like the link to music, which is, a separate, digital format. So it's always there at the top of Noteworthy. When you go in, you can click it, go to your music, you click it, go to the calendar for the upcoming events, you click the next thing for membership, so this way, who's, phone numbers, all that, and it's always at the top of Noteworthy. And then the other things that are announced, we do very little announcement at rehearsal. We just say high points, like you will see in Noteworthy something about upcoming regional, upcoming, people going to the quartet thing or whatever the events are, just to highlight that's something to look for. And that's really it, I don't know if that's saying the same things, but it feels like communication is super important. I think we've moved into this digital world, which a lot of us have had to learn. I'll speak for myself. It didn't come, it wasn't natural for me I wasn't raised in that world. I was more of a paper person, and I even did communication with a lot of paper. But I respect that there are people coming in that may still need that. So you have to always offer the PDF or whatever.
I feel like HCC used to have, and they might still, there was someone who was like the person who, if there was someone who needed the printouts, there was the person who was the bridge for those,
Yes.
like, and it was always like 10 or less members. I want to say it was like 5 or less members, but there were those people, and whoever would know they needed the printed Showtime sheet or would know they needed, you know what I mean? So it's that same buddy system.
Right.
Situation that you can do to, again, like, meet people where they are, because we all just
Yeah.
want to sing and have fun, right? So like, meet people where they are.
But I'm so happy you're offering to be somebody to reach out to, because even though I've learned a lot, especially in the Google world, being a teacher, I had to learn all that on Zoom. It helped me, but I still feel a little like I could always get more. And thank you for offering that. So
You're welcome. And sometimes so much of that, I find personally, it's just helpful to have bounce ideas off someone, right? Like, just be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And sometimes neither of you has the right answer, but by just having that exchange, you find whatever the good thing is.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you.
And I've actually found that with Alexis and with Debbie. Sometimes it's just bouncing the ideas off someone. It's that group synergy thing that, neither one of you, just by talking, ideas pop up. And the reality too is some of us, and I think this is what you're saying, since when we were in the workforce, retiring has not keeping up with the latest technology. I was required to do that. I didn't have any problems. I'm not afraid of it, but do I necessarily know the ins and outs? No. And Alexis honestly has been super helpful and not shaming me. Laura brings up a really good point in the chat. It is that the whole BCC function allows helps maintain individual privacy, and some members would rather not have their email shared. You know, and we've got a couple of those members whose jobs, they do not want their emails out there. And so that really helps maintain the privacy. Okay, next thing. Next slide. So one of the other things that Sweet Adelines mentions and that we've mentioned is having an active mentor riser buddy program. And as with anything, to actually have a thriving and successful mentor program really does require planning, organization, clear goals. What do you want to accomplish, and follow through? I think that's that's 101 for any kind of project that we're working on. They talk about what makes for a successful mentor program, and this is some information that it has been on that is in the playbook. And I will tell you that some of it, they talk about having an individual. So you've got the membership chair, and then under the membership chair, potentially, and they do not talk about this at all, but a rookie coordinator. So someone who is responsible for coordination of rookie activities, i.e. that first year. And then to me, underneath that would be a mentor chair. So I'm not sure, you know, in a smaller chorus, do we have all these individuals? No, people have got to wear different hats. So the rookie coordinator, in my view, in many instances, would coordinate the mentors. Obviously, a mentor should encourage and guide the new member through their first year. One of the things that I think is really important to know is you got to know your members. Okay, the membership team, the rookie coordinator, the mentor chair, whatever you want to call them, the person assigning mentors. What makes a good mentor? There's actually a little example of a mentor application example on the playbook that talks about, you know, it just name, offices held, when they joined, what committees were they on, you know, have you ever been a mentor? What benefits can you bring to a new member and the chorus as a mentor? How many hours a week would you reasonably be able to share and devote to your new member? Have you met all your financial obligations, and do you attend chorus rehearsals regularly? You know, you don't want a mentor to be someone who's hit or miss, that doesn't attend all the time. That is not financially up to date. I will tell you, when I looked at, and if you look at the playbook, this mentor application is in there, you know, on the website. When I wrote actions to take, for me, they were a little, if you took this job, if you did their actions, this would be a full-time job, and you would have to be, meet weekly or more often with members to discuss chorus life, including activities, rehearsals, music, events. Build a strong relationship of trust and understanding necessary for a close friendship. Ensure that the new member fulfills the requirements and expectations of membership. Offer musical assistance. I think each chorus, again, needs to decide. I think we need to have a mentor application, and not everyone is built to be a mentor. And by asking people, don't assign without asking them if this is something that they want to do. But also know your members and know that everyone is not equal in terms of providing the information and making people feel as if they belong. Comments about do you have Riser Buddy programs? When do you assign the Riser Buddy? How do you determine who's a good mentor, who's not a good mentor? Because like I said, I think the information here is a little, I don't know, whether it's outdated or it's just too much. Mary?
Are you calling on me? Because I definitely have thoughts on this. I do not think everyone is equal in terms of being a good mentor. I think that it's vague in how it's applied sometimes, but I'm eager to see something a little more concrete if we're developing something on the regional level. I just think that everyone comes into the chorus with a different understanding of, sometimes it's somebody who knows barbershop, sometimes it's somebody who doesn't. And I think that that needs to be, considered when you're picking someone, and their life experiences and all. So, we do have riser buddies. We do have mentors that we do, align immediately upon that person becoming voted in by the chorus. They get a mentor. We have two sets of, we have the one that's like the musical mentor that works with that person before as they're looping in. And then there's the one that, follows that afterwards. So it's a little more generic and it's a little more, the first year experience. But yeah, I think this is a really good area to be going into. I don't know if anyone else wanted to share, but that's what I wanted to tell you was going on. And I do think the genuineness of a person is helpful, like just the, a good-natured communicator, somebody who embellishes the core values, say, for example, of your chorus and wants to spread that message out. That it's not just about music, but it's about the sisterhood and all that you can gain from being part of this organization. There's just so much,
Mary, does your mentor, obviously the musical mentor would be part of the same section. What about the mentor, the riser buddy? Not necessarily.
No, does not. No. But again, that's an area that isn't always clear. I think it needs to be a little bit more refined. I love this idea that you're bringing it up, as somebody. It's funny because I work with Kim, who couldn't come on tonight, but she and I, we work like together. This role of membership is so encompassing. I don't know how you all feel, but it's a lot for just one person to take on. And because it has all these different layers. And this is one of the areas we were just talking about with respect to this new initiative. If people come in to the HCC or GNC during this season before international and want to join the courses, we obviously would want to have somebody who would be with that person differently. This is not somebody new to barbershop, So I'm just bringing that up because it's something we were just talking about. So, I mean, it's layered. I don't know. Am I sharing?
No, thank you. Yes, it's great. It's perfect.
Diane had raised her hand, and also Jen Wiseman has her hand up.
Okay, Diane, go ahead. Sorry, I can't necessarily see that. So
Thank you,
Diane.
Yeah.
Golden
Our-
Apple, go ahead.
Yeah,
Diane.
we're very, very small, so we can't possibly do a mentor program with Riser Buddies, but I do tend to assign a Riser Buddy in the same voice part. But Amy and I are always with them, trying to get them to practice in a practice quartet or anything else, any questions they might have. So we're basically their mentors. So we try to meet their needs along the way, set up everything for them. And then when they become a member, we pin them and we sing a welcome song and that kind of thing. So, and we've done a graduation program for the Ready to Sing through the summer. That's different, but I like that idea too. But we don't usually get more than one new member. Yeah, we are very small, but we're trying our best. But I like all the suggestions here. So thank you.
Thank you. And who else?
Jen?
Jen?
Yeah, I find this topic kind of fraught actually, because we had Riser Buddies for a long time. But there were people in the chorus who ended up being assigned Riser Buddies more frequently, and some people who never were assigned a new member. And it made some of the members who were in the chorus feel less valued. So that became a problem. And people were like, well, how come I didn't get a new member? How come I didn't get to be a Riser Buddy, whatever? And also not, as you said, not everyone is actually designed to be an effective Riser Buddy. But to say that to someone was hurting people's feelings or insulting. So that's one of the reasons why we went to having one person be the rookie mentor and lead the whole program. And then section leaders would pick up the musical end. Like we would take, the section leader would be the musical buddy per se. I know everyone who comes into the chorus, at least marginally, because I'm also, I forgot to mention when I introduced myself, I'm the audition coordinator. So for the first few weeks while they're getting auditioned and everything, I get to know them, I get to know their names, I check in with them after they have officially joined, make sure that they're hooked up and everything. And then I let them, I'm on the membership team. So I'm kind of like the liaison between someone who's a guest and someone who becomes a member. So we ended up not having Riser Buddies per se, but I feel like we're missing something there, because it can get a lot for the person who's the rookie mentor. And I worry that sometimes people end up feeling a little bit lost, some of the new members. And I think it would be helpful to consider having Riser Buddies again. But how do people deal with the idea that the members who are on the Risers already will feel hurt that they aren't getting the opportunity to take on a new member? That was my question.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
That's a good point.
That is
Evelyn, but couldn't that be handled through this application process that you're describing? I mean, you're offering any member who feels like they have this inner core, like maybe they're not the person who can, be perfect with all the note, like the note person, but they're that communicator.
I never even thought about having an audition. I mean, like an application for Riser Buddy. And that's a great idea. That might solve this problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, because
unless they get rejected based on their
but they're
application.
not going to get rejected.
If they have the wherewithal to actually fill out an application, hopefully they'd have the honest self-assessment to realize, oh, that's not me.
Right, because the questions are going to ask them, what benefits do you think you can bring? How many hours a week can you reasonably be able to devote?
I think it answered your own question, because you're putting that person in the position of taking on a leadership role that maybe the leadership of the chorus has not really given them thought. And maybe that person secretly wanted to step out, but didn't know how. And I think offering these opportunities within the chorus, not just for this role, but others, could be very beneficial. I do think sometimes that gets lost in the sauce.
Well, we had that conversation before, that everybody has gifts and people have things to offer, but it's going to be up to the membership coordinator to decipher through some of these applications. I will tell you, just like you, I think our course has gone through cycles with it, but you can definitely see people on the risers still talk about, if they had a great riser buddy, they still talk about that person.
Yeah.
That is one thing that, would they have stayed regardless of a great riser buddy? Who knows? But that certainly made their experiences so much more joyful, and made them feel as if they belonged, and that they were welcomed. But I'm curious, other courses, have you done away with this? What's your feeling?
I've always liked the idea that there's someone you can go to who's just your person. Like when I joined HCC, I think they called her my big sister. I don't know that they're doing that now anymore because I also joined a minute ago. And with Sirens, we've always done it as like a mentor sort of thing. But the way I always treat it, like if I have someone new in Sirens, is I'm just like, hey, here's my phone number, here's my email, whatever is the easiest way for you to communicate. Anything that comes up, if you just think it's dumb, you're like, even if it's like, I don't know what that word means. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm just your human, right? Like I'm just your human who you could be like, what's this dumb question? What do they mean when they say bubble? Like, I'm like, oh, it's this thing. And then they're like, oh, cool, thanks. Or like, I know they sent out the link for whatever, but I lost it. Here it is. You know what I mean? Like, let me just be that one person who you can ask whatever to. And also make sure that the people who are in this position are never feel like they have to have every answer. Just that they're the conduit. They're the ones who's like, this is actually who your section leader is. Or, like, because maybe the section leader was absent the night you auditioned, or, well, whatever it is. Like, just making sure that whoever that person is can always get them to the right answer, even if they don't have the right answer. To me, that's
I
always
think
just like the important connector, because shy people like to sing too. And
I love it.
stand up.
Thanks, Laura, for sharing that Alexis was your riser buddy.
I wouldn't make that application process, wouldn't make it very long. I would
No.
just make it very basic, and because you don't even want that to be too much. But you're right. I mean, I came from many years of singing in one chorus and then went over to Greater Nassau. And even though I had a knowledge of it, still was confusing. I still had no idea, how they were doing things. And, so all of it becomes, right? You went from HCC to Sirens. I'm sure you felt differences and you still needed questions answered. So it's always there, So just saying.
Laura raised her hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think our buddy mentor program is probably a little less formal than many of these other ones. I think of it more like a social connector and less about somebody who has a responsibility for many things they could be responsible for. But we do two things that I think might be useful examples. One thing is we have an ask questions chat in our Slack channel, which is open to everyone in the chorus. And there is a culture of just asking like crazy questions in there. Like it could be, and I say crazy only because they may be things that you would assume every chorus member knows, but every chorus member doesn't know. And so it's a great opportunity for people to ask questions, get them answered, and for everyone else to have the benefit of hearing the answer if they're subscribed to that chat. The other thing that we've just started to do is do a cohort specific Slack channel, which includes all of the people that are just joined in that cohort, as well as their buddies and members of the membership team, and a couple of other people that usually know answers to stuff, like maybe the section leaders. I don't remember exactly who's in our channels.
Right.
But that there's very little chatter there, but it is another forum for people to ask questions. Sometimes people ask questions about dues, or like when they're going to get their first invoice, or I don't know, like what is a competition? I mean, there's all sorts of questions that people ask, but that's also a useful resource.
That sounds wonderful.
I think I'll just mention that Spirit of Syracuse moved their Riser Buddy assignment from when they're sung in to actually while they're a guest, because we didn't want guests getting lost and not having a good resource, even though we have a process for guests. So that's something that we've been aiming to do.
And how's it working? Deb?
Getting them assigned has been a challenge, but that's basically our target process. And yes, having the buddy has worked out well.
Next slide, Alexis. We really have covered half of this.
Evelyn, if I could just add one thing about the buddy stuff and what Deb just said is we also set expectations for every member during the guest process of like what our expectations of how they're going to be participating with guests. Simple things like wearing your name tag and, wearing chorus gear, but also, that you should go up and talk to people or and give them examples of the types of things that you might talk about.
We have done that in the past. Yeah.
We need to do that again.
Well, yeah, we haven't done it for a while. Thank you for the reminder.
Give them script. And I honestly, I did find myself, and I know, Deb was probably ready to kill me, but at the last, like I went up to people that were sitting in groups, come on guys, come on, you need to go talk to these people, but we get comfortable, we get comfortable with our cliques and our groups. And, on a night like that, when we have guests, that can't happen. We really need to encourage people to just, and some people are more comfortable than others. And that's, that's okay.
Well, and we did a good job of doing that when we had official membership drives, but most of the time our new members are from random walk-ins, and we haven't re-emphasized the need to interact with the guests lately. So that's on my list of things to do.
So one of the things, rookie engagement ideas, one of the, when we sent out the invitations, one of the questions, was what questions do you have? And so someone brought up what can we do, I guess is the question. What can I do? What can the regional management team do? How can we help with rookies? What can we do to help ensure that first year is as successful, as positive, and as positive an experience as possible? Any ideas? And that might be something that I leave you with to think about. These rookie engagement ideas were some things that came up at the international, when I was at international, and we had membership meetings with membership coordinators from various different regions. They talked about something, similar things, all newbies on a region Facebook. I would like to institute that they get a note specifically from me, a welcoming note. The problem is knowing when members pass their audition, or you would have to let me know. And I would love to be able to send them a note welcoming them to the region. You're welcoming them to your chorus. I'd like to welcome them to the region.
We could maybe ask people to send you a monthly update or like a quarterly update or something. Let's talk about that, Ev.
Okay.
I got ideas.
All right, good. Because I'm writing it down. I think getting something, from the regional team members, the regional management team it's acknowledgement. So one of the ideas talked about a rookie class regarding in relationship to the regional convention. And we had talked initially about trying to do that in person. And with our regional convention, that doesn't really seem like logistically it can work. So our membership meet number 5, which I think is the next slide. Well, no, the next slide is my being persistent about what makes people feel as if they belong, but we don't. Why do singers keep coming back? It's the sense of belonging. What makes them feel as if they belong? It's all the things that we need to think about. And it kind of should pervade everything that we do. But anyway, on to the membership meet number 5. So this is really talking about topics for future discussion, and I'll get back to the membership number 5. One of the things we've talked about is fundraising, finances, and the role they play in membership retention. I would like to cover that at a future meeting. I certainly would like to have Alexis run one of these Zooms talking about marketing and PR. As membership coordinators. I think that is something that people have had questions about since the beginning. Leadership's role in retention. I'm actually working with Jen Hunter and Alicia. One of the future Zoom meetings, the leadership day, may focus on leadership's role in retention. That be a part of the leadership days, which will be on Zoom, but be part of the discussion, because the reality is we as membership coordinators, team leaders, we need our directors' input, and it's a combined, we all need to buy into retention. We all need to buy into these things that we're doing in order for it to be successful. So really talking and acknowledging that there are issues when there are issues, and sharing is really important. So I think that's going to be one of the topics in the future. But so next, membership number 5, meet number 5. I would like that to be a membership meet that includes our rookies. So it would be first timers. It would be individuals that are attending the convention for the first time. A region 15 convention, because we do things differently. Somebody else might have been a part of a different region. Our convention is a little different. And what we really wanted to cover is the convention experience. So actually, Jen Hunter, and who is our team leader, also the director of Saratoga Soundtrack, and Deanna Sargent, who is our R&T's events coordinator and the tenor of Voce, spent an afternoon in Albany and did a little video of the hotel, the ESPCC, the ballrooms. They did a short video on the contest experience, highlighting the Hilton Hotel, the rehearsal ballrooms, and our contest venue, the ESPCC. I have also asked that the CC, so the convention coordinator, and Barbara Wright and Jeannie Visito attend and highlight the weekend schedule and answer any questions. I'm trying to think. One of the things, in order to get, so I think I need to talk to Deb and to Alexis after this, but we need to get this information out as soon as possible after I put together the graphic for this, but need your help in trying to figure out what is the best way to gain access to the rookies. And my idea is really the CCLs. At this point, not everybody, when choruses register for competition, they designate who are first timers. I don't think we can wait until and maybe we can, the deadline for convention registration is the end of this month. But I would really like to get that out sooner. So my idea was to, send it out. The CCLs at this point should know who their first timers are, but to send it to you all as membership coordinators, TC presidents, but really stress that the rookies need to be included. Thoughts, ideas, suggestions are totally welcome. What else to make a part of this next Zoom? What I thought we would have, the video is going to take 10 or 15 minutes. And then if we have, talking about the competition experience, the weekend, another 15 minutes, leave enough time. This isn't going to be a 2-hour thing, but leave enough time for people to come with questions or maybe solicit questions beforehand. This is a Zoom in progress.
Laura's idea to mention all the courses in the region and perhaps include a photo and a sentence about them is good. If that's, a few slides showing that as part of the Zoom.
Yep. I like that idea.
One thing I would suggest, though you're probably already thinking about it, is to think about this as sort of a marketing tool of like how great competition is and sort of to build excitement rather than about, as sort of the purpose of the communication rather than sort of like, let me tell you all the information about like who the contest coordinator is, though that information needs to be there, but it's more about, look, you're going to be there. You're going to be part of this experience in just a few months or a month, whatever, shortly.
Well, I can tell you that I asked, Jen and Deanna, it's not a serious, the information is there, but they're silly, so it's fun. It's about traveling from the hotel to the ESPCC. It's rehearsals. I think it should be about exactly what you're saying, with joy and that it is a fun experience and it will allow you time to get to know your fellow Region 15. It's an opportunity to bond. It's an opportunity to get together, sing, and do what we love to do, and be silly at the same time.
I just want to say I love this idea very much because coming back into my mind about how the first time I ever went to Region, the only people you really know are the people from your chorus. And to bring this forward as a way to like showcase the region and some of the key players, it might give a face to the people because it's a sea of faces when you arrive. And there's absolutely no way even what chorus is unless they're wearing something that represents their chorus, you really just don't know. They're Sweet Adelines because there's always that look, but I just think that putting the faces, the critical faces to it might be part of your thing you're preparing. Like these are some of the regional people. We're also excited to meet you. I love that reach out letter to the people because it also broadens the scope of Sweet Adelines. It isn't just the chorus, that we're part of something bigger, that this is, and the only time you ever get that experience of feeling like you're part of something bigger is when you get there, when you get to the regional, and to do it ahead of is just a brilliant idea.
It'll be cool too, because it'll also probably make bridges across choruses. Like it was your first contest when it was my first contest. The same way it's like it was your first rehearsal when it was my first rehearsal. Like I think this is going to be a real cool thing to keep going.
I agree with
I'm really
you.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it because is Sirens planning on doing? Don't they usually do the tagging?
We haven't done it for several years. If that's something the region wants again, I'm sure it's something we could step up to. We would just need to know so we can prepare because we have to prepare our members at a certain level to do that.
Yeah, it's probably. I'll speak to. We have an RCC meeting.
Yeah, if, let us know, and then
Regional
if so, we'll
Convention
bring it.
City, on Sunday night.
Nice.
Oh, is that only tomorrow? Yes. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I'll mention it to them. I think the more that we can do,
And maybe feature that in the video. I think the tagging is wonderful. I love that Sirens did that. It's
well,
beautiful.
the video's done, so sorry.
Oh, well, there you
Listen, I can always add a little something on the end if we need.
Yes, yes, you can.
go.
Yes,
Techie
you
girl.
can, Alexis. I did. I asked them not to be, this, I don't want this is the way the weekend is running and blah, blah, blah. I wanted it to be joyful. And I think Deanna and Jen will, I haven't looked at it yet. Jen is in the process of editing it, putting it together. So I think it should be fun. But yes, they spent an afternoon. And they actually got a tour of the ESPCC, so they'll be showing the back rooms, the stage, where you go on, where you go off, so I think that's great. I really like this idea, even though it was my idea, but it was based on international, actually. It was based on us having a conversation. And Deanna is the one that came up with the video, because I think we really wanted to initially do it in person, have something for the rookies, Friday morning. But it's just, the timing of our convention, it just doesn't work to do something in person. So how do we do this differently that we still have the same results, provide the energy, the enthusiasm, and the information and the fun and the ability of people to just get together. In the future, would I love to be able to do something specific with gathering those people together? Yes, but one step at a time.
Evelyn, moving back to what the region can do, and maybe you already do it. I don't have a program in front of me, but how about listing all the new members in the program?
We don't do it. I can bring that up.
If you do it, you should do it as of a certain date, because some members will have joined after whatever your printing date is.
Yeah,
correct.
That's also the issue with the longevity, as of. There's always people are like, but I've been in, and it's like, no, it's as of, Well, the only thing, and part of the problem with that is the
We might be able to
information
work it into the banquet.
What?
I might be able to work it into the banquet a little. There might be a way to do a rookie thing at the banquet.
Okay.
Not that they're all there, but still.
Right, but we will have that information from the CCLs.
Yes.
CC, and I can provide that to you as well. So it's, Laura, maybe just having the people that are competing for the first time. There may be people there that are members that aren't competing or just joined. So if we limited it to competing rookies, that's who we give ribbons to. I think that would make sense, because otherwise it's going to be really tough. Because that's the only source of data I have, because Sweet Adeline's dates are not always, it depends on when choruses submit the information. And so it's not always, it's not always accurate, is the bottom line. So being able to get that at this point, does that make sense? And we'll talk about the newbies. I know one of the things in the future that I really want to do is acknowledge kind of an in memoriam page, that doesn't, but it's gotten a little, there's a lot going on this year. So this year may not be the time that I institute that, because there's a lot going out to our members, a lot of emails, and I think it's getting a little overwhelming. So that's something I have on the horizon. But any ideas that you have that the RMT, you know, that I can do, like I said, I want to send a welcome letter from me and from the RMT. And having the newbies in the program, I think, is a great idea. Okay, so Laura, you're saying nearly half of your chorus will have never attended an SAI contest. We would be, okay. I would love to use you as resource for planning or ideas for this session. It would definitely be helpful. What are your members looking for? We'll talk.
You've got about 5 minutes, Ev. Do you need me to go back to the slides or?
No, I think we're, you know, comments, questions, concerns, throw them out, and then just keep your eyes open for the invitations. Oh my God, it's snowing like crazy here. Go ahead.
So Evelyn, I know, I recognize this isn't quite related to newbies, but since this group is assembled in this forum, I'm curious how folks are handling the additional $10 registration cost per member. If the courses are absorbing that cost, passing it on to members, how are you handling it?
HCC right now is, we just notified the members that there's going to be the $10 fee for the busing. So what we're going to do is we're going to be tacking it on to their banquet meal or a breakfast, something like that. Everybody's going to have some kind of meal. So we're going to have them just increase it by $10.
We have a bag at the front of the room at rehearsal to just drop your $10 in with a note. So this way it's just handled that way. I mean, that's how we're doing it. I'm not saying it's the best, but it was just a way to get it done. And that also has to include people you're registering that are not competing, I understand.
Yes.
So
as far as I understand, it's anybody that plans on using the bus, even if it's a guest.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Saratoga Soundtrack is tacking it on to our room fee. So we're just adding $10 to what we have to pay for the room.
Evergreen is covering the cost for our members.
Highland Hills Chorus is also absorbing the cost.
As well as Golden Apple, we are as well.
We're not sure at Liberty Oak. We just had a board meeting and it's probably going to partially be rolled into, the board is going to be subsidizing part of at least one meal and or the busing, but we have got to look at the budget and see what we can absorb, because it, for a large chorus, is, you know, $770 to $800. And that's not something we had in our budget.
I believe Spirit of Syracuse is in the same. Yes, Deb, because we haven't.
Our meeting's next week.
Yep.
Since this came out, so yeah. Well, it'll be an agenda item, I'm sure.
I'm sorry. I was not aware of this. When was this announced? That it's a $10 fee per person for the buses?
Anybody that's registered due to transportation costs going up, and yeah. And it's for anybody that's basically registered to go. If somebody's not registered to go, they're not using the buses.
So I know our CCL, our treasurer, just paid the registration fee to register $200, when are we supposed to be paying this transportation fee?
I believe there's going to be another communication with a form, but I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I was the conduit for sending out the email, but not involved with the discussion. So we shall see.
I will, I am,
Yeah, bring it up to the RCC.
yeah, I'm part of the RCC. One of my other hats is I'm the OPL, which is official panel liaison. So I'm part of the RCC. So you would like to, so there needs to be clarification of really how that is being paid. Like, not, not,
What's the mechanism?
right, okay.
We're going to be billed separately for this.
Not sure. I should know, shouldn't, but well,
It's tied to registration, so it would probably be related, timing wise, would probably be related to that.
and so the
but
question
as I
goes
said, we
for-
just submitted our registration without this.
Individuals, your registrations for the individuals, not for the chorus.
Right. That would be the expected timing.
Okay,
When you submit a list of your members
we submit a list of members
registered,
who are-
then
okay.
at that time, it makes sense that the fee is collected.
Right.
Right, because then you know.
Yeah, you've got your list.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
For us, the timing of that communication came just after we sent notes to the chorus of how much it's going to cost. So we didn't want to go back to, we have a lot of very young chorus members who consistently ask for scholarships for some of these kinds of things. So we didn't want to go back to the chorus for it. But unfortunately, this year, we're also in a position that we couldn't absorb it by the chorus. So we're handling it with a private donation, an anonymous private donation. But anyway, if there's ever stuff like that, if we could do it earlier in the process, it would be much better.
Jen, I know.
Totally agree on that, because we had also already started collecting money for housing. Then we've got to collect money for meals. We had already sent out a lot of communications, and all of a sudden we've got this extra $10 that was not on anybody's radar. So it was, the timing of this really was very awkward because we'd already started all the communications.
Be that back.
Thank you for telling us. We can make sure that things come to you sooner in the future.
Yep.
Thank you.
And Jen, I know you just sent me an email. Tomorrow night's meeting is RCC, not RMT. If I misspoke, I'm sorry.
I may have misheard too. That was having nothing to do with this meeting, but.
Right, it has nothing to do with this, but.
But thank you for bringing it up, because it's a
Yes.
a thing that we need to deal with.
Yeah, and anytime we're together, I mean, anything's fair game, because we don't get together that often. So it's
And if anyone is related to anyone who owns a bus company in Albany who wants to sponsor the buses in future for the regional convention, please also let us know that. Thank you.
Because the cost is, whoa.
Robustulous.
So the other, also related is, if this is going to impact regional membership costs in the future, like it's going to go up by $10 as a result of that, knowing that as soon as possible is really important, because, as you know, we collect membership dues ahead of time. And so that amount, either we have to ask the chorus for an additional amount that covers the increase in dues, or the chorus has to absorb it. And as I mentioned, we're actually just in a position that we can't absorb it. So I'm not sure how we would handle that. And costs at the moment for our membership are quite sensitive.
Well, and I think that, at some point when we do maybe one of these Zoom meetings, like I said, one is going to be the financial, fundraising aspect for retention. I would love to have our finance coordinator, be a part of that. to help answer any questions on the processing, the budgeting, so on, that, is out of my, I mean, I'm a part of these discussions, but I certainly will take back as soon as letting people know as soon as possible. Yeah, and I'm sure that is on their radar. There's just so much we can control and so much we can't,
You're at 5 after, Ev.
What? Okay. Are we good?
Kathy
I
has
just
her
have a
hand raised.
quick question. Will you then, for your meeting number 5, include the finance coordinators?
No.
In that Zoom? No?
No.
Because I'm the finance coordinator for
Well,
our chapter.
you can come, but the financial discussion, I don't know. Let me think.
It's only a small part of it, I
I
understand, but
haven't really flushed out the
Yeah, okay.
agenda for it. I mean, at this point, the focus was
right.
on convention. So if we talk about, I just need to, and maybe I'll talk to Laura and Alexis, because I don't want to overwhelm. I mean, it's really
Right.
about getting these rookies to feel comfortable with their first
Right.
year and the goal of, convention. But I
Right.
definitely understand the financial aspect of things, but I
Mhm.
think that could get us really into the weeds and
Yeah.
and on a whole different tangent.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just thought maybe since it was going to be discussed in some format that perhaps the financial people could be included, or but
anybody
if that's not possible, then that's
when the email goes out, it goes out to TC's membership coordinators
membership. Yeah,
and anyone interested. So I say to them to forward to anyone
Right.
that they think might be interested, because and it's members, it's anyone who might be interested.
Mhm.
And I will think about adding the financial component,
Mhm.
Potentially. What I was
Mhm.
thinking was the finance person from the regional convention team, into
Oh,
the
okay.
regional, meals, rooms, those kinds
Right,
of
okay.
things. But we don't have to, again, go into the weeds with that either,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm. Yeah, but it is a big part of the consideration when the newer members begin to look at the regional contest, not knowing prior to that it is quite an expense to go into competition for the individual.
Yeah, and maybe next, we're talking by the time we do this, which is what, February 15th, they're
Right.
just gonna be 4 weeks away, 4 or
Right.
5 weeks away. So I think
Mhm.
at that point, the focus, and I'm open to,
Yeah.
I'm open, but should be on the logistics of the competition weekend, the convention weekend.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good.
We'll all have, maybe next year we do it sooner,
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Evelyn.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. If we're good, I will say thank you all for being here. Thanks for the lively discussion and input. I think it was another great gathering.
Thanks, Ev. It was time well spent.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Evelyn.
Ev.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Evelyn.
Bye.
Well, soon.
Bye.
Thanks for all your input.